Hey, what's going on everyone? Paul Adonis Maximus here. Thanks for checking out the AI Filmmaking Advantage, where here we talk about how to make and monetize AI filmmaking. Okay guys, so what I want to do is a quick deep dive into the new Omni Reference feature from Midjourney. If you take a look at their Discord server, they announced this not too long ago and they talk about what it does, how to use it, and they also give some examples of it in action. And if you look at the examples, they look pretty straightforward. But in this video, I'm going to be walking you through pretty much everything that I found wrong with the feature. I know there's going to be a lot of AI news bros on the hype train talking about how great it is. They're only going to tell you all of the good stuff. But here on this channel, we do things a bit differently. I see it as my responsibility to let you guys know both the good and bad. Because yes, even though I sell a Midjourney training course, which you could find out more in the description below this video, I do not cake nor shield for these AI companies when they're screwing up. Now, I'm not going to be too harsh on the Omni Reference feature because I know it just came out and they're saying that it's experimental. And to be honest with you, so far it does what it says it does. For the most part, I'll get into where it works and where it does not. And then we'll talk about what needs to actually happen in order for it actually to be great. And from there, you guys can decide if this is something worth your while to use in your workflows. Now, obviously, you should know by now that Midjourney version 7 is out. I do need to do a deep dive video on all of the features and updates on that. And just as a side note, the AI Cinematographer's Midjourney Playbook, the course that I have, is not about features, so you don't need to know Midjourney version 7 in order to follow along with everything in that training course. I built it that way because I wanted it to be evergreen, because the AI landscape is changing literally almost weekly, and I didn't want things in that training to become obsolete overnight. Now, let's get into how this Omni feature works. It's basically like how the character reference feature worked in the previous Midjourney versions. And what you'd do is you'd come up here and you'd click on Add Images, and you'd see this Omni Reference box right here. Now, if for some reason you come here and you don't see this, you're going to need to clear your browser cookies and cache and then just sign back in. That's what happened to me. I came here, didn't see it, and then what I ended up just doing was clearing all of my browser cache. It logged me out. I logged back in, and voila, here it was. And what you'd want to do is, if you already have some images uploaded to Midjourney, you can use those. However, there is a caveat that I will get into later on in the video. But what you could also do is find something that you've already used, like this right here. And then what you do is click on Image, and you'd see the image pop up right here. And then you could just drag it over here to Omni Reference and then do your thing in terms of prompting. But I'm not going to do that because I want to walk through the examples that I've already done just to show you some of the differences. And with this image right here, this is a photo of my consistent character Danny that I created within FreePic. If you guys need to know how to make consistent characters with FreePic or with Crea, because I'm going to show you the image that I made with Crea, you can check out the playlist on my channel for those particular examples. And this is how I got started with these first few batches of testing. So I clicked in here, and then I selected this image of Danny right here, and I drug the image over to Omni Reference. Now, the next thing you need to be aware of is this. So there's a slider right here that gives you a strength. The default is 100. And if we go back to Midjourney's announcement on their Discord server, they say if you want to make a character's face extremely visible, they recommend something higher like 400. And you can actually increase the Omni strength to 1000, which is what I recommend after the testing that I've done, and I'm going to show you what the differences look like as we step through this. But with this particular batch, I ran it on 100, and this is what I got. So if you look at the image that I dropped in, and then you look at this image that Midjourney gave me, it does not look too bad at all. It doesn't look exactly like Danny, but it's pretty close. So I would say if you have an image that you want it to closely resemble, but not exactly, that is when you would use the default 100 setting. And for this, I just used a very simple prompt. It simply says, sipping a cup of coffee in a cafe early morning. And we pretty much got exactly that. And for some of you in my AI Cinematographer's Midjourney Playbook training, you'll notice that I'm not using the cinematic prompting format here. And again, I just wanted to keep it very simple, just to quickly demonstrate how this works. You will see me use that prompting format as we continue on. But again, I was just very interested in seeing how it would perform with very basic prompting. So to all the knuckleheads who are going to come in my comment section trying to tell me that I don't know how to prompt, for all of you, you can see that you don't need anything super complicated to get the type of images that you want. And for those of you who want your images to really pop and really get jiggy with your Midjourney prompting, then definitely be sure to check out the AI Cinematographer's Midjourney playbook. Now with this next batch, it is the exact same prompt. It is the exact same image of Danny. And the only thing I did was increase the Omni Reference weight to 400 like Midjourney recommended. And this is what we got this go round, which I would say it's getting a little bit closer to how Danny looks to the reference image that I attached to Midjourney. This is the second one, and this is the third one. Now, one of the things Midjourney recently said is that they've fixed the issues with fingers, and you obviously see that that is not the case right here. I will say that in my prompting, I don't run into this issue a lot, but just again, so you don't think that I'm making this up, this was as of April 30th. They say all images should now have slightly improved image quality, prompt accuracy, hand accuracy, and body coherence. But as you all see, still needs a bit of work. Now, this was the third example that I ran with the same image, same prompt, only increasing the Omni Reference weight to its max of 1000. And I would say this is the most accurate look of Danny in these particular images. And again, as I found in my examples, especially of the ones that I did of my own avatar, 1000 seems to be the sweet spot if you have an image that you have your heart set on using, that you want it to look exactly the same, and you're wanting to do whatever you're wanting to do just within Midjourney, then I recommend you go ahead and increase the Omni Reference to 1000. But there is a caveat. Midjourney says both the stylized and the experimental tag also compete for influence over the image with Omni Reference. So if you have a high stylized or experimental value, you probably want to use a higher corresponding Omni weight value. So basically, if you're maxing out the Omni weight value at 1000, then it doesn't really matter what your stylized or experiment weight is going to be, because it's going to all line up. But if, say for instance, you had a stylized weight of 1000 and an experimental weight of 100 and a Omni Reference weight of 100, then it's probably going to throw things off. I didn't experiment with that because, again, I got it how I wanted it to look. And for my intents and purposes, I see 1000 as being the sweet spot. And basically what they're referring to right here is if you click these settings, you see stylization, weirdness, variety, and these sliders right here. Experimental is a new tag that they've just added, but that's what they were also speaking about in their Discord post that I just showed you. But again, just to be on the safe side, go ahead and max out that Omni strength to 1000. Now, for those of you who have interest in using your own avatars, this is an avatar that I created within Crea. And if you notice, this is the exact same avatar that I use for my channel and pretty much all of my social media, except this new addition right here with the futuristic blaster. So I'm going to show you what I did for this. I'm just going to delete that right here, and I'm going to click this, and you'll see I added this image right here, and I just drug it over right there. And the prompt was very simple, holding a futuristic blaster. I didn't change anything other than the Omni Reference weight to 1000. And these were the images that I got from that generation that pretty much look spot on. I think these images look fantastic. And what I would do next is just take it over to some place like Kling or Runway or Higgsfield AI and just turn them into videos. And for the images here, I ran some variations on the one that I really liked, which was this image right here. And I just wanted to see if I could get some even better looking images, because I didn't like how this one is looking off in this direction. Same here. I like these, they're looking straight on. And I like this one right here, that it's looking off camera, which is what you'd want your characters to be doing. Because again, we want to think about cinematic films. We're not doing photo shoots. Now, these images would be great for something like an avatar, but the off-camera look is something that's going to work better for something you're creating that's meant to be cinematic. Now, here's where we get to problem number one. one. Again, I think all of these images came out pretty good, but as some of you may have surmised, the obvious problem is that all of these images of this blaster are not the same. Pretty much every single image, other than maybe slight variations in the ones that I ran as variations, have a very different look. So what does that translate to? That means that every time you run this image, it's going to give you a different blaster. And maybe your next question is this: well, Paul Donis, why don't you just take the image that you like, use that as the Omni reference, and then maybe, just maybe, all of the following images that you'll generate will be with that same blaster, right? Well, I've already gotten ahead of you in that thinking, and the answer is a big fat no. So check this out. And so what I did is I took one of the images that I really liked over to Free Pick and upscaled it, and then removed the background, because in another image that I'll show you in a minute, Midjourney was having issues with what was already going on with the image and making it do something completely different. I'll explain in a minute. Let me just go ahead and run through with this. So to avoid any confusion, again, I removed the background. I've got the blaster in my hand. It's the same exact avatar that I used, the one that I created in Crea. I then uploaded that image, the one you see right here, which, by the way, it actually did work with this image without the background removed, but as I'm going to show you in this particular set right here, Midjourney was having problems trying to get what I needed because of what was already in the original image. So I did that a bit later, but yeah, let me go ahead and just show you this right quick. So here's the blaster. It kind of looks similar to the one that I uploaded, but a lot of the images don't turn out exactly the same. Like that blaster right there does not look like the one that I uploaded. So the problem is, even if you take the image with you holding the sword that you want or the weapon that you want, it's likely not going to generate the look exactly. And I don't like any of these images at all. And what I was starting to notice as I was running through this testing is that the image quality started to drop. And I don't know if it's because a lot of people are using Midjourney at this moment, testing out the Omni Reference feature, but I'll go up here and show you the one that I did where I removed the background, and same prompt, he walks through a massive brightly lit cargo bay of a spaceship, and it's not even generating me holding the blaster. And again, as you see, the image quality is starting to drop, and I was noticing this more as I was doing more of the testing, but the blaster is not being held across my chest. Same instance right here with these images. Doesn't look good, doesn't look like the blaster, looks like a blaster, not the blaster in the photo. And again, as you can see that noise in the photo, the image quality just started getting ridiculous. So basically what needs to happen is that there needs to be an Omni reference. Basically something like you could do with Kling Elements, to where you have your character and you have an object, and then you combine the object and the character together. That would be the most optimum solution for this, because once again, it's great that you can get all of these cool photos of you holding this blaster, but it's not going to hold up in different scenes. It's not going to make for something that's consistent other than yourself. I hope that makes sense. Another tip that I will give you is that you want to make sure that you have a very clean and brightly lit image so that Midjourney can see the face of the character exactly. This was the particular image that I was trying to use in the Omni reference for what I was just showing you. I mean, honestly, to me, I can see the face very clearly. Everything looks pretty spot on, but as you can see, Midjourney had some difficulty trying to get the face exactly. Even with the Omni reference weight at 1000, that still needs some work. I also tried it by using an aspect ratio of 2:3, and this is what I got. I like that photo right there, but again, it doesn't resemble the reference image, and they all just end up looking pretty different. I would say this image right here closely resembles the image that I showed you, but the face is too dark. You can't see the features highlighted, so it's pretty unusable, and that was the final image in that set. But you can see that it is following the prompt, which says walking through the hallway of a futuristic spaceship. So we are moving in the right direction, but again, still needs work. Here's another example I want to show you where I took two different images and created this set right here. And what I did was I used this particular image that I had uploaded as a style reference. So I moved that right here, and then I took my character Danny and used her in the Omni reference slot, and these were the images images that I got. Okay, this one has her mouth closed, but I mean, it's the same person, just in case anybody wants to point that out. But as you can see, you can get some interesting different looks going this particular route. Now, here's an example of one where I used a weapon again, and this one was the image reference of a sword. This is what the sword looks like. I actually created this sword with Midjourney. It's got a steampunk theme about it, and what I wanted to do is put the sword in the hand of my character, which is the next problem that we run into with this Omni Reference feature. Again, as we mentioned, you can reference the sword, but the problem is you cannot reference the character. So if you had an avatar of yourself that you wanted to portray holding this sword, since you don't have the option to add multiple elements at this time, you would not be able to do that. And that in turn means that each image you get is going to be of someone completely different, but potentially holding the sword that you want. Because as you can see, that looks close to the sword that I uploaded. That looks close to it. It's a little bit more overdone. That does not. That looks like it from somewhat of a perspective, but the sword looks bent. But I'll show you the ones that I thought came out really well, like this one right here. Could have been a great image to use, but again, it's completely useless because I can't use this same person in any other image. And as I've shown you, even if I took this image, took it to free pick, removed the background, it's likely not going to work. So that remains a huge problem. And as you can see over here, this is where I get into using the prompt structure from the AI cinematographer's Midjourney playbook. This is a bit overkill because I also used ChatGPT and told my AI assistant to give me a prompt. And this is actually a prompt that I just re-rolled that I had in version 6.1 of Midjourney. So it looks completely different from the image that I originally had, and it actually looks a lot better. Here's another example of a sword that closely resembles the one that I'm using as Omni Reference, but I would say this one right here is an even better depiction. But I know I'm starting to sound repetitive. That ain't the same dude from the other photos. Okay, now to the set where Midjourney was having problems trying to give me exactly what I was asking for. This is the image that I used as the Omni Reference that I actually created within Midjourney. The only thing I did was download the image and then upload it back to Midjourney, and then used it over here by dragging it to the Omni Reference. And this was the first set I tested. The prompt was very simple. It says flying through deep space. I've got the Omni Reference weight at 1000, and as you can see, it's mimicking that image that I added where it's got the sand below as the aircraft is flying above. And again, here's where we got into the issue of the image quality taking a hit. Same thing with this one. It's like the images didn't finish rendering. And again, maybe Midjourney is having some issues going on their side, and same thing right here. So what I decided to do was take the image, this one right here that I just showed you, over to free pick and upscale the image, because I was thinking that maybe if the image is sharper, because I didn't upscale the image that I added as an Omni Reference, I just downloaded it from Midjourney, figured that, hey, maybe if I upscale it to 4K, that will help with that. And then I also removed the background so that Midjourney doesn't get confused. So now you see the aircraft only and there's no sand beneath it. And I'm going to show you the one that I did where I removed the background, because as you can see with these down here, I reran it and it did a bit better when I changed the prompt by saying flying through dark deep space where only distant stars are present. It was a little bit better, but you still see it kind of thinks that it's close to the ground or in near orbit, and you still have the quality taking a hit on the image generations, as you can see right there. That just looks terrible. So this is the one that I did where I removed the background. It follows the prompt much better. Same prompt, flying through dark deep space where only distant stars are present, but you can see the image quality is absolute shit. No good. No good, no good. Another thing that I tried is to upscale the image within Midjourney. That was somewhat better, but we know those images aren't supposed to be looking like that. Another thing I did is took one of those images that looked like crap and thought, okay, well, let's see what happens if we upscale it to 4K in free pick. No bueno. So just wanted to run through some things to show you that, you know, if you were thinking about doing some of the things that I'm already showing you right here, I'm hoping to save you some time by showing you that that shit wasn't gonna work. work. Now, this next thing that I'm going to show you is going to be a bit of a disappointment. I took a screenshot of this on X when someone made this comment on Midjourney's account, and this was April 10th. The guy says, you guys need to ease up on your restrictions. Some people are trying to use AI to tell a story, and not all stories are for the preschool age range. I agree 110%. I keep getting notifications about restrictions and pop-ups warning me that you're trying to keep it PG-13. Midjourney responded to him by saying, we've updated our moderation with version 7, and it should let 70% more things through now because the model itself is much more safe. Still more to come, but in the meantime, if you can give us a list of prompts you're having issues with, that'll help. Thanks. And I actually posted that update on my YouTube community feed, showing this example right here that would have generally been censored by Midjourney in the past. And if you guys remember the Higgsfield AI music video that I did, this particular character, which I upscaled and made look a lot better in FreePic, as you can see right here, that image is the exact same image from Midjourney. I just brought it over here and upscaled it. As I mentioned to you guys, if you use FreePic's classic upscaler, and I'll just show you this right quick. So if you click upscale and you click the classic one and you do a subtle or a wild upscale, it's 9 times out of 10 going to make your Midjourney characters look much more attractive. Just FYI. But again, I created something like this within Midjourney, as well as something like this in the past. And this was Midjourney version 6.1, so it was before version 7. Here's where I'm going. So I wanted to take this image that I created within Midjourney, right? First off, tried uploading the exact same image that I downloaded from Midjourney. No bueno. Our moderators aren't sure this image fits with our community guidelines. Okay, well, let's go with the workaround. Because again, we created this image within Midjourney, right? And as you guys can see where I'm already going with this, because you already see the censored messages right here, I went to the image itself, and the only thing I did was say use image. The image showed up right here, and I drug it over to Omni Reference. And the only thing I said was pull side, and bam, an image in your prompt was denied. Please try again with a different image. And as you can see right here, that's what I got. That's what happened right here. And that's what happened with the exact same process that I followed, where I went to the image that I already created within Midjourney, clicked on it, said use the image, and I used a very simple prompt that said pull side. And so what I did was I went over to my X account, I added Midjourney, and I was like, hey, what the hell? We can't even use the images we created within Midjourney for Omni Reference? I thought you guys said you dialed back on the over moderation. And I posted this photo, and I posted right here where the prompt wasn't crazy. I'm clearly showing that I made the image within Midjourney, and they're denying the image. So let's see if they get back to me. Let's see if they do something about this. I had an issue to where I realized that I don't even have permission to post in their Midjourney Discord server, despite being subscribed to them way early in 2023, but I've never really used the Discord server for posting anything, so I didn't really think about it until right now. So now that I actually have permission to post in the servers, I'm going to come to the channel, post my gripe, see if they do anything about it. So essentially, they've eased up on the moderation on the image creation side, but they also need to chill on the moderation on the Omni Reference side. Hope that makes sense. So guys, what are your thoughts about this new Omni Reference feature? Does this essentially do away with LoRAs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below this video. And as always, if you found this walkthrough, this review, this tutorial helpful for you and your AI film endeavors, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and also click that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you enjoy videos like this and you want to be alerted about similar videos from this channel in the future. So once again, this is Paul Maximus. Thanks for checking out this video. Please join me in the next one.